What's up, YouTube? Flash speaks back for another one of these things. So, Sheryl Miller, the great Sheryl Miller, the sister of the great Hall of Famer Reggie Miller, was on All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, and they had about an hour-long interview. And I think the overall interview, I made sure to watch the whole thing. Was I would say a good interview overall. She's enjoyable to listen to. Has a lot of good stories and so on. But in particular, one issue, which is probably the most divisive issue in all of sports these days, which is anything surrounding Caitlin Clark. And again, not because of Caitlin Clark herself, but the fan base Caitlin Clark has. Though the fan base are in denial about the fan base being the problem, which is like, it's okay. Like, that's part of, it's actually one of the problems that, and I'm not going to get into that. Maybe I will later. I'll just try to keep it here. Well, at any rate, she makes a statement that bothered a lot of people. And the statement was that as a black woman, and I quote, as a black woman, I can relate to what she has gone through. And, well, I want to just kind of discuss this here to really get to it. Is there any validity to that type of thing or whatever? Now, what I like to say is this type of sentiment when it comes to blackness and the black experience here in the United States is really nothing new. It's really nothing new. It's black. It's the experience blacks had in the United States being undersold or being lessened for what it really was, for what it really is. Like, it's sad though when you have people of our time, and you would expect that Sheryl Miller to be, a little bit in touch with the situation, because her generation was typically a more enlightened generation compared to, I would say, our generation. Our generation now is a joke. You have this statement, for example, gay is the new black, which is something, it is an egregious statement that over the last 5 or 10 years that has been used. I actually saw it on a television show come out the mouth of a black woman, okay? Where a black woman in a script, on a scripted show, says gay is the new black, for example. To try to confligate or to put on the same scale the experience of homosexuals to the black experience. Just one example of that. It's something that many foreigners will jump onto because, much of the civil rights movement was headed, of course, by black Americans. We can go back to the 1960s and the different civil rights movements, the basic human rights, which I'm not going to go deeply into because this would take hours for me to talk, and most of the people who probably tune into my channel don't have that type of an attention span. So I'm not going to do all of that. But what you'll find are foreigners later jump on those same rights and those same doors that African Americans opened up in the 50s, 60s, and use their same plight or whatever with ours. And then the problem is later on, they later go and kind of forget the origin of how we got here in the first place and all of that. And this is kind of what I believe is happening somewhat with Sheryl Swoops here. And let's look at it here. Okay? Let's look at it here. Not Sheryl Swoops, I mean Sheryl Miller. Okay? Sheryl Miller claims, like many others claim, that Caitlin Clark is facing hate. And need I even say racism? Caitlin Clark, the standout basketball player from Iowa, is facing hate and racism. This is what the claim is. Now, what I'm looking for from people is an honest assessment of this. And then we can compare it to real situations of hate and then try to see if they correlate. Caitlin Clark becomes a standout player at Iowa. Okay? She becomes very popular, gains this large following, in my opinion, due to the Rocky Balboa nature of her college career. Did not win a championship. Became garnered a lot of attention due to style of play. Coming up under like the Steph Curry time and the James Harden time. Okay? Shooting long threes, fancy passes, playing on a team that was a Rocky Balboa type of team. Team of mostly white girls. I believe there was maybe one or two black girls on the team. Not important to me, but we're just laying out what the actual team was. Okay, the framework of the team. Getting close and losing. Then mocked, and then getting close again, and then losing again. Throughout this whole time, Caitlin Clark received, and the Iowa Hawkeyes received a lot of media attention, a lot of hype. So much so that you have Gayle King, a black woman, interviewing Dawn Staley, who was the winner, as we know, of one of those seasons. Okay, the last season of Caitlin Clark's career. And Gayle King says to Dawn Staley, a black woman saying to another black woman, how does it feel beating her knowing that we were all rooting for Caitlin Clark? All right, so this is Exhibit A. Black woman to another black woman saying that we were rooting for Caitlin Clark. Question is, where's the racist hate Caitlin Clark is facing? If you have a black woman asking another black woman, Dawn Staley, we were supporting Caitlin Clark. Where's the damn hate? Question number one. Okay? Sounds to me like Caitlin Clark is supported by not only a large white following of Iowa, but also somewhat of a significant black following. Which to me, honestly, is fine. Doesn't really matter. Sports is a space where you should appreciate players for how great they are, for their skill level. Or, if you're a homer like me, because they play for your specific team. If you play for the Eagles, I couldn't give a damn if you're white, black, Chinese, or whatever. If you're good and you help us win, I'm your man. If you play for the Sixers, I don't care if you're white, black, Chinese. If you're good, I'm your man. But I'm just going through the various reasons people typically root for players. Okay? Where's the hate for the Caitlin Clark is the question. Okay, so then Caitlin Clark goes into the league with what? $30 million Nike deal. Goes number 1 in the draft. All right. So the idea is, because I had this one fool who I swiftly deleted. Okay. Swiftly deleted him because of his name and so on. And if he comes back, it could get worse for him. Okay. But he says that she entered a racist league. A racist league. Right? And I'm trying to understand the logic here. The WNBA is a league that is led by majority white ownership. White ownership. But he's saying a racist league. Do you understand what racism actually is? Do you understand what racism actually is? This is the question to people like that. Racism is, traditionally, okay? It has to have not only just a difference in, race, obvious, complexion, whatever, but it also has to have a power dynamic there with it. The significant people, or the people of significance who are running the league, are the owners. Okay, you have 12 teams. The vast majority of the owners, this includes the commissioner, are white people. Okay? That means these are the people that control who plays for the league, how many teams there are, the money that you're getting paid. Okay? The budget, everything. To try to sell to people that such a situation would be racist to one particular white player is so beyond asinine. If you just even have half a brain and you think about it. If you think about it with half a brain. But these are the narratives people are believing. But one thing I learned about human beings is that they are self-delusional creatures. And they can convince themselves of anything. Hell, people used to worship rocks and stones and trees, and some people still do. So I'm not surprised at what the human being levels human beings will sink in terms of what they'll believe and what they'll say. It's not that surprising. Okay? But to Sheryl Miller again. How can you relate to Caitlin Clark? First of all, I'm not even really familiar with what Sheryl Miller is exactly talking about, unless she's talking about maybe when she went to go play the Volunteers or Lady Vols at the time. Maybe you faced a stadium where you're booed. Because that's the minimum. Because hate, from a sports perspective, I've always understood to be, for example, what happened on April 15th, 1947 in Abbott's Field, where you had Jackie Robinson breaking what was called the color barrier in sports. In a world where you had a white league and you had a black league, where black people were not allowed to play in the white league. Okay? This was the world of Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson has to go play for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Okay? And he's booed. And we can get into particular games during that season where he faced racism pretty much all year, like when he came to Philadelphia, when Philadelphia had piece of shit white people running the Phillies. And in other cities and states. We could talk about when you go down south and how you're not allowed to to even be able to stay at the same hotel with your teammates because you're black. You can't eat the same restaurants they eat. We can talk about all of that if you want to talk about hate. But when you're talking about from a black perspective, you can understand, you have to your framework should be this. It should be this. Hate from black people's perspective is what happened on March 2001 at Indian Wells when Serena Williams faces Elena Dementieva. You know, you had Richard Williams and Venus Williams walking down the aisle to the players' box by the side of the court, and everybody in the courtyard. Because, Indian Wells is like this little hosh-posh, little white spot area. A rain in a sea of booze for Serena Williams. Okay, that's hate. When the whole stadium is booing you. Just tell me, Miss Sheryl Miller, Auntie Sheryl Miller, when did Caitlin Clark ever face anything like that? When was Caitlin Clark told, you can't enter this restaurant with your team because you're Caitlin Clark and because you're white? When was Caitlin Clark booed for being a white woman in a stadium full of 30,000 people, 20,000 people, 10,000, 5,000 people, 2,000 people? If you could point that to me, maybe I'll listen to you. Maybe I'll take a second to listen to you. Hate is what happened in 1936 at the Berlin Games when Jesse Owens had to run in front of the Führer himself, Adolf Hitler. Not only that, you go out there, you win for the United States, is what Jesse Owens did. He smoked those Germans and putting Adolf Hitler's ideology of the superior man to rest in front of the world. That's what he did. You want to talk about really doing something, some hero shit. But I know some of you Caitlin Clark fans probably don't like what Jesse Owens did. Because you're pieces of shit as well. Now, how about you go win that? And then, despite your four gold medals, Owens was not invited to the White House to meet President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, unlike his white Olympic counterparts. Could you imagine that? You go win 4 fucking gold medals? You were the star at the Olympics, and you're not invited to the White House to meet the president, but your white counterparts are? That's hate, motherfucker. Do you understand? How dare you come out your mouth talking about some Caitlin Clark face hate? And before any of you get up there and say, oh my God, this guy's emotional. Yeah. You know why? Because I do get emotional. Why? Because I don't follow the ideology of these red, blue pill dickheads that many of you listen to, who tell you, who have a very elementary understanding of the human being, that tells you, only females are emotional and only men are just rational all the time. No, dickhead. Men and women have emotion. Men and women have rationale. Men, however, are given certain responsibilities by God that obligates them in the area of administration and in the area of leadership to, for the most part, fall on and use their logic in order to lead. Because emotion can lead to making bad decisions. However, emotion is necessary also to fulfill the job. Why? You have a job to protect your children. Protecting your children is preceded by loving your children. You have a job to protect your wife. Protecting your wife is preceded by loving your wife. So on and so forth, and I hope you follow me, some of you feeble-minded individuals. Love is an emotion. Hate is an emotion. Now, of course, you don't go out as far as decision-making, being led by or ran by your emotion. No. But emotion is the major way you connect with other people. So when I connect in this way, you damn right I will use emotion. Because I'm going to let you know how I feel. I'm not going to sit here and just, run down a bunch of facts and just that and be a robot. Nah. And I'm going to let you know this is real. Jesse Owens wasn't allowed to have he wasn't given financial opportunities. He couldn't travel with his team. Oftentimes had to be in separate hotels and restaurants. He had to use the freight elevator instead of the elevators that the other team used or the other players used. Just giving you examples of hate from a black perspective, which should be the perspective Sheryl Miller speaks from as a black woman. That's what confused me about the thing. If you're speaking as a black woman, you should be speaking from a black perspective of what hate is to us. Not a girl coming in with a $30 million contract, sneakers of her own, stadiums filled with her there, with all the children with Caitlin Clark signs yelling, "We love Caitlin, we're here for Caitlin." She's getting more fans at the damn opponent's arena than the damn home team is getting. Where is the hate? Oh, you want to talk about Cheryl Reeves making a couple statements. Oh, that hurts your heart. Cheryl Reeves making a couple statements. Oh, boo-hoo, you little pussy. Oh, you're upset because Cheryl Swoops made a couple statements. Oh, she got the amount of points she scored wrong. Oh. Man, please. Y'all don't know the first thing about no damn hate. Not in the American context. Yeah, you knew hate in Europe. You knew hate in Europe when the damn House York and House Lancaster was whipping y'all ass. Y'all know about that when they made y'all build them castles and all of that. That's where most of y'all come from. But y'all know nothing about hate in the American context. Not at that level. So, Sheryl Miller, what she said was actually kind of offensive. But, I'll just look at it like she just wasn't thinking clearly, didn't think all the way. And she's benefiting from the comforts that some black Americans experience now. And have forgotten about a time since forgotten. And trust me, I could give you dozens of examples. Okay? But here it was sufficient to just use Serena, Jesse Owens, and Jackie Robinson. All right? So, peace out.